As a coach, when you are solopreneur and you do everything, you cannot be bad at anything. Because if you are not good at outreaching, you will not have your client. If you are not good at selling, even you are good coach, you still don't coach. And when you have sell your product, you need to be good at coaching. Otherwise, you will not be referred. So it's also the challenge of being good at multiple things that you may not have the expertise. When you are in a company and you do your job.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm your host, Rexhen, and today's guest is Aurelien Mangano, an executive leadership coach who transforms high-performing managers into purpose-driven, influence-rich leaders. He's the founder and CEO of Develop Leaders and a member of Forbes Coaches Council. Aurelien is known for his leadership maturity matrix, a practical pathway that moves leaders from command and control execution to a level 4 ecosystem influencer. And it's a pleasure for me to have him on the podcast today. Welcome to the show, Aurelien.
Thank you very much for hosting me, Rexhen.
It's a pleasure to have you on. And I wanted to talk to you about the beginning of your coaching business. So I know it's been around for almost 4 years right now. At the beginning of it, what inspired you to become a coach and start your own coaching business?
So it started really with something that is during my career in corporate. I had the need for some coach and mentor to help me to really realize how I can be better in my role. And I wanted to explore on myself on how I can help myself at the beginning to really be a better professional. And I started to coach others, and I loved how rewarding was it to help people to be a better version of themselves. And this is what make me really wish to be at the beginning a career coach for cross-functional people, because I'm from Europe, as you can hear it from my accent, and I moved to USA, and the world was really different between what was in Europe and what I experienced in the USA. So I wanted people to transition better. And quickly, I was very passionate by the leadership and this topic of project management. And I went deep into it. And it's when I started my company, Develop Leaders, and make it what it is right.
Cool. And when thinking about the clients that you work with, how would we describe the ideal client profile? Is there a certain industry or demographic or psychographic, or do they have some common goals or other commonalities that you're seeing?
So my specialty is moving the people from management to leadership. And for this, I need to define, because everybody has a different definition. And I want to define management as controlling the environment to make sure that the project or initiative is executed as expected. And leadership is inspiring others to make your vision a reality. As you can understand, we need both of them, and both are essential. But what I want to help people is when they are very good at management and they get promoted and manage multiple people, it is less about controlling what is really done, but more inspiring people and making them do the work that is needed to be done. So my clientele is very simple. It is director to C-suite, because it's where you start to have more need with the leadership. For sure, there is also junior manager or middle management, but it's less of a need to be a leader at this time than a manager.
Interesting. And it's not specific to any industry. It could be any industry as well. And how is it like to work with you? So do they go through some coaching program, Is there a program of a certain length? How is it the engagement with you?
So usually I have a first discovery session to really understand what the client is and what they need to develop. I have my program are based on 5 pillars. The first one is the purpose, understanding what is your purpose for work. And I go to the framework of Kokorozachi. You may have heard of it, or Ikigai, that is probably more known. And I go deep into this to really define. And I work on the personal Kokorozachi, but I work also at the level of the department or the company, and I help people to define their strategy and communicate it clearly in the different level of your organization. The second pillars, as you just hear, is communication. So learning how to communicate and make sure that you adjust your communication according to who you speak with. So I work a lot with clients on this. I have another pillar that is emotional intelligence, where we work on understanding your emotion and your awareness, but also your stress management, understanding how you make decisions and how you connect with people, because networking is essential. The fourth pillar is the mindset mastery, because everything is led by what you think. So I help people to break their limiting beliefs, help them to be more have adaptability and resilience, because a leader that change of mind every week is not somebody that you want to follow, and he lose his leadership. So I help people to get better at this. And on top of these 4 pillars, you have a fifth pillar that is more on how to influence with the language and inspires. It can be a mix of these 5. Usually it takes about 1 year to cover high level these 5 pillars. If you want to work on some specific element, and I have some clients that just want to understand how they can brand themselves and go to the next level for their career. And I help them to work more on the purpose and the communication, for example. So it can be a mix of 2 pillars. It can be 1 pillar deep, like emotional intelligence. It's really in the discovery call that we decide this. Most of the time, I have either a 6-month program or a 1-year program, but after I can adjust according to the need of the person or the challenge. That need to be realistic. If you tell me I want to go from, for example, from director to C-suite in 1 month, I can tell you probably it will not happen, because it's asking a lot of networking and things like this to do it. But realistically, I work with my client to make the best.
Cool. And one question that I was thinking about is, when it comes to you finding your clients, your ideal client profile, or them finding you, marketing wise, is there any marketing channel that you see is working better than the others?
I would tell the job of coach is very special, because you have the advertisement that is going in the different social media. And for me, most of the time it's LinkedIn, because I work mainly with professionals, and there is an outreach. But even I outreach and I am the right solution for the people, you need to earn their trust. And it is the difficulty that all coach has, is to build this trust with people. So it's really, for me, building this connection, having the call to speak with them, having a one-on-one discussion when I meet them in person, if possible. So the relationship connect, and after, when they need my services, they come to me, and they know that I can help them. One element that I will tell that could be very important for a coach is to show how much you care, because we are very focused at performance and doing KPI, making sure that we achieve all the objectives. But the care is what makes the difference, I think, in a coaching.
Yeah. And you said that so correctly, that, yeah, they can find you on LinkedIn, but the most important part of it is building that trust with you. And as a coach, you have to market yourself as opposed to like a business or an entity. You're actually the person you're marketing and the person you're selling at the same time. So it is pretty interesting. Now, if we look into the future for the next 1 to 3 years, do you have any specific business goals that you're working towards?
So right now, I'm more on the next year idea. I'm writing my third book, because I just finished my second book that is a co-writing. So I did my first book was published about 2 months ago in August. I have my
Hmm.
second book that should be published by the end of the year. And I'm writing a book by myself that will be the leadership shift from management to leadership. And I will adjust the title by then, but it will explain a little what is my program, how it works, and my philosophy. It is in review, and some people are reading it to have a forward, and I hope to have it published by January. So it is my goal in the next month, I will tell. What I would like probably in the longer term is to be able to mitigate a little the risks, because when you have a client as executive, it's good, but you never know if you will have the same pipeline according to the time. So I try to mitigate the risk by trying to be a public speaker. So I want to start slowly to go to podcasts like yours, and also be on the stage, so I can share my message and help more people with my message.
Cool. So when you say mitigate risk is basically making sure that there is a constant flow of revenue within the business that you're running to.
Exactly. If I don't have the number of clients that I want for my coaching, I have some money coming also from the speaking engagement. And it's also helped me to diversify my perspective, because when you do something for so long, and I experience mainly this you start to
Hmm.
have a comfort zone where you learn and you are complacent in your way of thinking. And when
Hmm.
you start to go on multiple platforms and trying to challenge yourself on different way of doing the same work, you have people that come with feedback that are not always pleasant, I will tell you.
Hmm.
But it is good to have this unpleasant comment, because it helps you to readjust your direction and understand where you do well and where you do not so well and you need to improve.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Aurelien. And when thinking about either writing the book, now this is the third book that is coming up in a few months, or making sure that you mitigate that risk of new clients coming, older clients leaving, what would you say are kind of like the main challenges that you're facing right now in working towards those goals?
So I will tell it's more what I was facing before. It was that I have to be the salesperson, the
Hmm.
outreach person, and the coach. And doing these three roles in a one day, it's taking a lot of time. And when you are good at coaching, you may not be so good at sales or outreach. So now I have a way of delegating little my outreach and content management. Even I love to do content management. I have somebody that love to create things and build this great. Perhaps it can be another way of mitigating my risks by doing some content management for some people. But I
Hmm.
understood that I need to have somebody to and a system to delegate all this outreach and sales and focus more on what I'm good at, so I can focus on my client. So it was really the challenge that I had so far. What I struggle the most, I think, is because I come from a background of IT, we are not very exposed in the way of communicating and selling. And the sales process and things like this was something that was very different for me. And I had several way of connecting. And I think we will cover it later. But I never had
Hmm.
always the right solution. I need to make a mix of multiple way that people teach me to find the right way of doing.
Yeah. And actually, it is definitely a challenge that is seen with solopreneur coaches. The fact that you have to wear multiple hats at the same time. You have to do the sales, you have to do the coaching, which is the main thing. And then you also have to do the marketing or like with the outreach. And that alone, then you have to think about doing these speaking engagements and writing the book at the same time. There's a lot of operations that go in it, which oftentimes is a lot for a person to take while you're scaling. So hiring in that case, so you're thinking about it, right? Hiring or having a system to help optimize that operation is a very good way to think about kind of like working towards that challenge, and is a challenge that, like I mentioned, I've seen many coaches share on this podcast as well.
And one
Yeah.
thing also that is essential as a coach, when you are solopreneur and you do everything, you cannot be bad at anything. Because if you are not good at outreaching, you will not have your client. If you are not good at selling, even you are good coach, you still don't coach. And when you have sell your product, you need to be good at coaching, otherwise you will not be referred. So it's also the challenge of being good at multiple things that you may not have the expertise. When you are in a company and you do your job, you just need to be good at one thing that is your specialty, and you don't need to have all the flow and things like this coming into you to make it happen to do your
Yeah.
real job, as you tell.
Yeah, absolutely. I also wanted to ask you about investments as well. So, throughout the last 2 3 years with your coaching business, what have been some investments that you've done that you feel really good about? Either you learned a lot or got a good return from, and these could be investments of time, money, or both. And what have been some investments that you don't feel so good about, you that you would have preferred to have avoided, or bad investments? So we're looking for good investments and bad investments that you've done.
So first things I will tell you, there is no bad investment. All investments are useful because it's either you invest in experience and you know what to not do and that doesn't work, and what to do. I invested a lot in my business, and I invested in multiple techniques, and there is some that I believe more than what I'm doing right now. For example, I was working with a company that was telling you need to build the relationship, do the webinars, then send some free stuff, and after the relation will build and they will come to you later. But sadly, in my experience, my type of clients, prospect, it is not something that work well, because probably executives don't have the time to look at the webinar, take the relationship to the level that is needed to build this and make it happen. And I work with, I'm still working right now with a salesperson that I don't believe really in it, because I'm not somebody that like to push, but it works better
Hmm.
for me. So I
Hmm.
learn the techniques of sales and learning how to manage better the objection and things like this. And it is one of the things that I will recommend any coach to go to something that is hard sales, just to learn what is a hard sell. Even it is not what you feel that it is good for you, but at least you know how it works, what it is, what it takes to have a deal. And after you can adapt it to your personality, your way of thinking. And it is really the reason I sign up with this coach, to help me to really strengthen my way of sales, understanding how things work and make it happen. After I invest in a lot of development for myself on neuro-linguistic programming. I work on a lot of programs for coaching. I'm always learning. So I did live coaching. I did executive coaching, organization development coaching, neuro-linguistic programming coaching. I did some other coaching of team. So I always develop my skills. I read about one book per week when I can find
Hmm.
the time to do it. And I will recommend to really develop this. And it is an investment that you want or not. It's not a big investment every week, but at the end of the year, it can be a big investment to do this. And you learn from others. You learn from yourself by reading, and you adjust also your technique. I will tell, go to event also. It's a way of networking, and it is a good investment to connect with people and see where your perspective is the same or not aligned. So it is some of the investment. After the investment that I will regret really, I will tell I had invested probably in some lead generation solution, and
Hmm.
I would have tell, don't invest in lead generation until you are clear really on who you want to have and you are clear on what they are doing as a lead generation. Because I invested one time in a lead generation that was bringing me people into a webinar. and I was doing my webinar to share my message. But the people that were coming to this webinar were looking just for free stuff, and they were not
Hmm.
looking to go further in the process. So it's a lot of investment for finding the leads, but at the end, the lead quality were not the right one. So it was one of the bad investment, I will tell, but it teach me something. It make me understand better what are my personas, who I want to work with and who I don't want to work.
Yeah. And just like you mentioned, in these cases, what we call kind of like bad investments, you always get to learn something from it, what not to do in this case with the lead generation system as well. Thank you. And my final question actually is for coaches who are listening that want to scale their coaching business, they want to scale their impact, reach out to more people. Is there any advice you'd like to give to these coaches? In a way, you're also trying to scale your impact with your books and reaching out to more people that way. So it would be like an advice you give to yourself.
So I will tell the important is really to have the direction, understand what you want to do. Because if you want to scale your company just to scale and have more money, it will not be something that will work at the end of the day because you will not feel fulfilled and something will break at a moment. So what I will really recommend is be clear really on why you want to scale. Does it make sense for you to scale? Because some people tell you you need to scale to do this, but is it your decision or is it the others that decide for you? Because it is also important. For me, I would not like to scale too much. If I have two or three more coach, it will be the maximum that I want my company to be because I want my company to resonate with the familial style where it is really a person that is close to you, where you learn really the things, you build this relation and you are close and everybody is approachable. When you scale too
Mhm.
much for me, after you lose this specific touch that I think doesn't worth the money.
Thank you so much, Aurelien, for coming to our podcast today. For anyone who wants to connect with you or find you, number one, they can go into LinkedIn, look up Aurelien Mangano. They'll be able to find your profile on LinkedIn. They can also go into the website, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but it should be divaleaders.com. And we'll put that in the description as well, but I believe that is the right website.
Yeah. So I have two websites. I have developleaders.com and I have also aurelienmangano.com. And
Hmm.
they should be linked one to the other if I'm not wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they can connect
We'll
on
put
LinkedIn if they want. Just put a message so I know who you are and where you connect from because with no message, I receive a lot of people and I'm not sure who they are. So sometimes I reject because not sure who.
Cool. And for the websites, we'll always put that in the description for the podcast so people can find that easily. But I really appreciate your time, Aurelien. Thank you so much for coming to our show.
My pleasure. It was a great discussion. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.